Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Natha Heintz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go.
What is up, Steeler Nation? Welcome back to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel J. Alongside with me, Natha Heintz of In Hindsight. Nathan, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good tonight. Had some taco salad. Pretty good. It's pretty good. So feeling good, feeling energized for the show. Excited to get this one talking about, man. Jared Double, what's up, bro? Steelers fan. I believe that's Mrs. J. How you doing? Drunk Turkey Show. My girl Kelsey in the chat. And we'll wait to see. I'm sure there'll be some more that pop in, man. But sure. I'm actually starting to referee basketball games. So
nice.
Yeah, I did my first one. What was it? I did my first one. Yeah, I do that. Did that. I did that sometime last week. And then next Thursday, I'm going to ref for, because I've last like 5 years or so, I've worked at like a sports rec center.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so I needed to fill in. And then after that, like I was asked if I want to kind of continue to do that. So like I'll still do what I normally do, but then like I'll do nights where I also just kind of referee games and stuff. And then if I want to referee like higher grades, like I want to do like high school, like varsity or JV basketball games or high end, like junior high games, stuff like that. I just got to go online and take my referee official test and stuff like that. So already a better referee than what you see in the big leagues, guys. Already better.
I was going to ask you if you
didn't take long.
Hecklers? any
no,
hecklers
everybody was pretty good that game, man. Like you have your people obviously that if things don't go their kids' way on the team, you know, they gotta find people to freaking bitch and cry at. So it is what it is. But I got thick skin, so it doesn't bother me.
Good deal. I know
I'll be pointing right at them, man. If they're crying, I'll be pointing right at them.
Yeah, I was at the last game for the Steelers against the Browns there, and that unnecessary roughness call on Sean Watson.
Putrid, man.
That was right there where my section is. And so that referee that threw the flag and called it was standing right there. And, man, the fans, I'm not going to confirm nor deny if I was a part of the yelling as well, but they were letting that ref have it.
I bet, dude. That was freaking ridiculous. Like that's a type of call right there that, like, you deserve to be getting earful over.
Right, exactly.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. And it was out there. There was probably about maybe 6 Browns fans in the stands where we were at, and they even agreed. They're like, "Yo, man, that was not
terrible.
That was a terrible call."
Did you remember roughing the passer used to be like where the quarterback throws the ball and doesn't have the ball anymore, and then he just gets annihilated? Remember that used to be roughing the passer? For
sure.
That's how it should be. Oh, no. You can't plan him. You have to take him down gently. I just don't understand what you're supposed to do, especially when you're going like full pace, full force. Like you don't have any time to adjust anything. Those are the type of calls, dude, that just win and lose games. Like it's freaking garbage.
100%, man. It's, you know, and it's, there's so many of those calls. It's not just with that game or the Steelers. Yeah. It's across the NFL. And it's probably come to a point where I know a lot of people have thought perhaps maybe if the referees were full-time and not part-time refs, that maybe you get a better quality out of the referees. Maybe. But we also have to realize that a lot of this is bang stuff. Yeah. You know, with high-performance athletes that are moving at speeds that are insane. And so error is there. And I'm guessing and I reckon that the fact that players in the NFL today are a lot faster than they used to be, a lot stronger, and the game's a lot faster. And so, with that being said, that might be the reason why there's more human error. But, the NFL should adopt at that point, like a sky judge or whatever it was that the XFL was utilizing. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they should, move towards something like I think it was the XFL that was utilizing that?
100%, dude. 100%. Because anything that's going to help aid officiating on the field, absolutely do. There's no perfect referee or anything like that. But when you have replay, when you have when things are like bang bang plays and stuff like that, when you have someone else that can kind of oversee that, communicate that down on the field, that's beneficiary. That's a benefit, I think. So I don't know. I just always thought, dude, there just needs to be accountability. Like, it's just simple as that. There's just got to be accountability. Referees, sometimes they hold too much power in their hands, and it's I think a headache for all football fans. So I just don't understand why players are held accountable when they call out poor officiating. But referees, on the other hand, aren't held accountable on anything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, they're the ones at the end of the day that can win or lose you ball games. And it's something that I will just never get, why the NFL just can never get that right. It's freaking sad.
For sure, man. I mean, there was even a recent event in the recent Chargers game where Bosa, did you see that play where I guess he said something to the ref and the ref chased him down, asked him, what did you say? Or possibly. And then Bosa repeats it, I guess, and then he gets a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
I thought that was ridiculous that the ref had to go and do that. It seemed more petty, in my opinion. And
dude, it's their game, man. That's what it is at the end of the day. They think we're all there to see them. That's what they think.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but hopefully maybe the NFL will adopt some of these rules eventually and give us a little bit of a better product, because there are so many times and so many games that the Pittsburgh Steelers could have had a game get swayed one way or the other that would have resulted them in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. But today we're talking cut, keep, and sign. We're going to be going through the free agents that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. We're going to be talking about free agents that are going to be hitting the market this year that could potentially find their way into the black and gold. And we're going to talk about players who potentially need to be released or not retained. And so first and foremost, let's talk about the players that we are thinking about potentially could get a cut. First one I'm thinking is quarterback Mitch Trubisky. He ends up going down or getting cut. Pittsburgh Steelers save $8 million in the cap. I'm hoping they would trade him. What do you think? Have him go or stay? As I ask you.
Good riddance.
I agree.
Not going to be missed. Agree. Not going to be missed here, dude.
For sure.
With him, I don't even know. I don't even think there's going to be a team that's going to look at him and be like, oh, yeah, we can try to maybe bring him in to compete for a starting job. I don't think so. I think he'll just be a backup somewhere next year. I think that's what he's going to do. And if you can trade him, great. If you can't, then see it. You're going to save money either way. You're probably going to get a 6th or 7th round pick for him if you trade him. So whichever. But yeah, he's got to go, dude. He's got to go. I don't even think he wants to be here either. I think he's playing a little bit of the victim card right now. And dude, like, he was given every single opportunity ever since he signed here. I mean, he was named a captain. Yeah. So if he's going to cry and moan, not a fair chance, I was pulled too early, that's on you, dude. You're a freaking ass. And I'm not saying every single thing was on him, but at the end of the day, the guy had to make a play in 4 games, and he didn't. He didn't make a play in all 4 games. Look at that first game, dude, against Cincinnati. The defense, how good was the defense that game? They were freaking amazing. Yeah. And they almost lost? What's that tell you?
Yeah, they were a long snapper away from losing. Yeah,
that's it.
For sure. I think he's a guy that's good riddance, enjoyed your efforts, so to speak, or not enjoyed them. Appreciate, there you go, because it was not enjoyable.
Efforts, man. Appreciate it.
There we go. It was unenjoyable, but appreciate the effort. Appreciate the attitude that was displayed after the fact that he was benched, and he stayed a team player up until the point that the season was over, and by all accounts, he was out the door fairly quickly. Yep. And so, hopefully he can find himself somewhere else. He has a favorable salary, so there's an opportunity there for a trade. Because if the Pittsburgh Steelers were to cut him, right, then he could decide what his market value is. This upcoming year, he's only going to be worth 10 million, and then incentives could go up to probably about, I think, like 14 or 18 million. And so that's a good risk to have for another team. So I'm thinking that maybe the Steelers could get some pretty decent capital back for him, maybe a fifth, maybe even a fourth because of that. Because if somebody's going to pull him in to be their starting quarterback salary is usually around that 18 million guaranteed. Yeah. Even for a mediocre one. So, this is a prove it deal. That could be something that could spark some interest now that I'm thinking about it out loud. As far as maybe some trade capital. I would hope that's the
I would love to see the Ravens sign him, man. I really would.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing if they signed him.
Gosh. So you don't think that the Ravens are gonna tag Lamar?
I think they will, but I think they'll trade him though.
I think Lamar, have to sign him.
Well, yeah, but so he can get the franchise tag for $45 million, and yeah, he would sign it, but he's like, I'm not going to play. So then they're just going to find a suitor for him, sign and trade him. Because if they don't tag him, he's just a free agent. The Ravens aren't going to want that. They're going to be like, all right, if we're not able to keep you, we're going to get whatever we can for you.
No, I agree with that, but he still has to sign the franchise tag.
Yes, he does.
So if he doesn't sign it, they can't trade him. And if they offer him, they would still hold his ticket. However, they would have to hold.
Or if they didn't tag him, he'd be a free agent. If they did tag him, he didn't sign it. Yeah, they would still have his rights and stuff like that. But he's not. If they're going to tag him, he's not going to play on that.
Right. No, I agree. Because here's the thing: once he signs that tag, I could be wrong, but he can't negotiate a new deal.
No.
And so wherever he goes, he's playing on a 1-year deal, and that's not what he wants. Now, he saw Deshaun Watson, go over almost 2 years without playing and get a $240 million guaranteed contract. If I'm Lamar, I might be not signing anything and say, hey, I'll take a year off if Deshaun Watson can get that. And Lamar Jackson is an MVP, league MVP at one point, and a talent when he's healthy. That might be the route that he decides to go.
It's possible.
He's pretty young too. I think he's only like 25 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I just don't understand what his expectations are if he wants to get he hasn't done anything. So what's he done to? Obviously, the Watson contract, a lot of teams when that happened were pissed off about it. So Joe Burrow is going to get a contract extension this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to let him enter year 4 without a contract. Or maybe they do go year 4 and then they place the 5th year on him or something. So that's possible. But I think he's done, man. I think he's done there. I think the Ravens, they just if they're going to sign him to a big contract, they're just going to be the team they are. They're not going to be able to, it's going to handicap them so much. And with how modern day NFL quarterback contracts are, that's where the Bills are going to be at with all this stuff into Josh Allen and Diggs and Von Miller and everything. It's not that they won't continue to be a good team, but it's just, they're going to be just stuck with, okay, that's the team. That's the team they are for a little bit. I'm not saying that's going to be like that forever, but just for a little bit, for the foreseeable future, that's just going to be their team. Draft picks and maybe few signings here for agency. They're not going to really be able to go out of their way and really overhaul certain things. So if the Ravens do have Lamar, that's really going to be the same thing. They just gave Roquan Smith this big contract too. Marlon Humphrey's tied up. They just signed Marcus Williams last year to a pretty big contract. So yeah, they're going to be pretty tied in. But to be honest, I think he'd be really good with the Jets if he was healthy. They reestablished their offensive line, the running backs that they got there. They got some young talented receivers. I think I think that he would really fit in there with them. So I don't know. Lamar, don't care. See you later, dude. I mean, even if they sign him, I mean, I'm not scared of him at all.
See, the way I think about it though is in favor of the Steelers. See, I'm hoping he doesn't sign the franchise tag and forces Baltimore to hold that money, because they have to hold that amount of money. They can't utilize that because he can sign it at any point.
Yeah.
Right. And so they have to hold that, and then it totally screws them next year. And I would just like that. I just like that option.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also looking at the Browns that are, they're going to have to start paying Deshaun next season. Burrow's getting paid too. Man, this is really starting to maybe make a window there for the Pittsburgh Steelers to build a team that's going to.
No, I agree. It really is. They're not paying a quarterback hefty money right now. You hop in, you go do what you got to do to strengthen the team. And then if Kenny turns out into being the guy that you're going to build around for however many years, then okay, then that happens when that happens. But in the meantime, you take advantage of it, man.
For sure. So,
Mitch Good is gone. If we're going to talk about quarterbacks, Mason Rudolph's next up.
Yeah, Mason. I think he's going to test the market. I don't think he likes the Steelers staff. I think he's going to go. So
I think he'd be better off, man. I really do.
I do too. So that's going to leave a hole there. I feel the Steelers are going to bring an undrafted rookie free agent in, because they're going to need one for, a rookie quarterback for rookie off-season training. And so with that being said, the Steelers are probably going to bring in a rookie, probably going to bring in a veteran. Let's look at the 2023 quarterbacks that are going to be available by free agent.
Sorry to break it to you, Mrs. J, but he's ass. I don't know what else to tell you. He's ass.
Yeah, the missus likes to. She thought a lot about good old Rudolph. Let's see. No. So we have as a free agent out there's going to be Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jimmy Garoppolo, Teddy Bridgewater, Daniel Jones, but I think do you think Daniel Jones stays in New York?
I think they got to run it back, man. I really do. I think what Daniel Jones showed, though, is that he's a guy, give him a 2-year deal and kind of see what he does. Like, so is this Daniel Jones this year? Is this really what he is, or can you even get even more than what he was able to do? Because this was definitely the best season that he's ever had, 100%. And It just goes to show you how important coaching is, how big coaching is in the league. The Giants literally took almost the same identical team that they had last year. Brian Daboll, they bring in a new defensive coordinator. Their offensive coordinators interviewing for head coaching jobs. And it just goes to show you, dude, just how important it is. Guys want to play for them. They have a young defense. So, yeah, I think the Giants will probably just run it back, to be honest.
Got you. And so, out of that list, well, Geno Smith, Jacoby Brissett, Andy Dalton, those are probably some of the bigger names. Drew Lock that are going to be free agents this offseason. Any of these guys that you see possibly, sitting behind Kenny Pickett, maybe play a little bit similar to his style. That way the game plan don't got to change so much.
Right. Definitely think they'd want to look for somebody that has some similar attributes there, or a similar type play thing where you don't have to totally overhaul something if like Kenny misses a game or multiple games or something for whatever reason.
Right.
I know that Josh Dobbs is the hot take right now and the popular take. I'm fine with that. He's a smart guy. He learned with Ben. He was, when him and Rudolph were on the team, Dobbs was the guy Ben went to. And it seems like he plays the backup role okay. So that's fine. I always just said, like, I don't really think there's a specific type guy, but I would like to see that be someone that's been around for a little bit and that that Kenny can just lean on and just help them, or that they help him see things maybe he didn't see. Right. So that's really what I want to see. I don't. They'll definitely bring in a young quarterback just to fill out camp and whatever else they want to do there. Jim Rugger says, I'm hearing on the rumor rule Dallas wants to deal Dak to the Packers for Aaron. No idea where you heard that. No idea where you heard of that. That's not happening. But I appreciate you're in here. I appreciate you being in here, Jim. Dark Storm, if the Steelers do bring in a quarterback, it'll be like a Sam Darnold. They like taking a chance on first-round busts. Sam Darnold, I mean, I don't really think Sam Darnold would really be an ideal
what
guy.
About Gardner Minshew?
He's all right. He's all right as a backup too. Yeah, he's all right as a backup quarterback.
I think he plays a similar game, in my opinion. Moves a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a running quarterback, but a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, he can move a little bit. Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah, I'm not really nitpicky on the backup quarterback. On the rumor mill, but I don't know what the rumor mill is, Jim. I don't know where you're getting the rumor from it.
It's Twitter, man. It's on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter.
And so for the for that quarterback position, I think they're going to get somebody that has some kind of similar attributes to Kenny.
Yeah.
Josh
Dobbs is probably the most ideal, to be honest. Like,
which one?
A lot of fans will see him back, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, he was a guy that Big Ben could depend on and had a lot of trust and favor in, and so Big Ben could depend on him. I think Kenny Pickett can too.
I agree.
The next Steeler that's on the list to be cut for cap casualty reasons is inside linebacker Miles Jack. If the Steelers cut him, they'd save $8 million. But there's $3 million dead spot there. So dead cap, hit to the cap. Do you think the Steelers are going to retain him, keep him around, or you think that they're going to let him go and then depend on Mark Robinson? Because Robert Spillane is also a free agent.
Yeah.
Devin Bush is a free agent, and I think those guys are gone as well. And so what do you do with the inside linebacker position?
Well, this is probably, in terms of cut candidates, this is probably the most interesting one. I'd keep him, man. I'd keep him. If it's okay where his deal is at, then okay. You can always restructure. I think you can extend him if you want to push money back over X amount of years. Miles Jack wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. He, I think a lot of fans wanted more out of him, and I think he's someone that they should keep, because if you cut him, Devin Bush is a free agent, Spillane's a free agent. You have nothing there, man. You have nothing. Mark Robinson, he was a late round pick. We really don't know what kind of player he is yet, and I think that you have to keep him. You have to keep him. You do whatever you got to do at inside linebacker there. Robert Spillane, you want to bring him back for cheap, whatever. But I don't like Robert Spillane being a starting inside linebacker. I'm sorry. He's fine as a rotational type guy on certain downs. But Miles Jack, at least he can tackle. He's not really a cover guy, really. And that's why maybe you bring somebody in aside him that can maybe be a guy like that. And it's just, if you cut him, I understand it saves $8 million. At the same time, you have nothing there. You have zero an inside linebacker. So,
you see, for me, though, with Miles Jack, he's a faster Robert Spillane. He's not very well in coverage either. He got beat quite a bit, especially from the tight end position. It ended up with Robert Spillane getting 100% of the snaps in defense for the last few weeks of the year. So I think the Steelers, at least in their minds or in their thought process, feel that Robert Spillane is a step above Miles Jack.
Well,
and if that's the case, I don't think you want to pay somebody almost $12 million.
Miles Jack also had injury problems too, so I don't really know how much of a factor that was in terms of Spillane. Rod Irish, welcome to the show. Cut everybody and get Edmonds from Buffalo. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
With Spillane, man, it's just he doesn't have any speed. We know that. We know that he can hit hard, and that's what I'm saying. They want to bring him back on cheap. That's fine. Like I think that's fine. But Miles Jack, he's a proven guy. He's had a pretty good career so far in the league, and sure, he wasn't great last year. He wasn't bad. But I think if you can pair someone next to him that can maybe take a little bit of a load off, that you can incorporate next to him that maybe has some strength compared to Miles Jack's weaknesses, that can be a really good thing within itself. So I feel more comfortable with a guy like Jack in there than I do if Robert Spillane's getting 100% of the snaps. I understand that Spillane ended up getting 100% of snaps and Devin Bush got benched and Jack was kind of rotating a little bit with Mark Robinson at the end of the year and stuff like that. Who knows what they're ultimately going to do? But
right.
I think if you just can't go without somebody being there and not having anybody, you can't. And the inside linebackers draft this year, there's nobody that's going to go in the first round. So you're going to, if you're going to draft an inside linebacker, again, you're taking away from, if you don't have anybody there and you draft an inside linebacker, then you're relying on a guy like Mark Robinson, who's a late round pick, who no one knows what he's going to do. And then you're relying on a middle of the draft inside linebacker. And I don't really think that's really ideal for a defense that's supposed to be cream of the crop.
True. In my opinion, I think that they're going to restructure Miles Jack, push him out that's maybe fine. A year or two.
That's fine.
Lower that cap hit, and Robert Spillane, they're going to have to pay him more than what they've recently paid him, but I don't think he's going to be breaking any banks.
Yeah.
And so, you bring those two guys, Mark Robinson, you let go Marcus Allen. I don't want to see him.
Good riddance, dude. He's offered nothing to the team, dude. He's been here 5 years. He's offered nothing to the team.
Exactly. And so I think you're going to pick up somebody in free agency here. Now, it was mentioned in the chat by Rod, Tremaine Edmonds. That's the guy right now that everybody's kind of eyeing in on. The Bills have, they're going to be going through a cap situation. So it doesn't appear that they're going to be able to retain him or afford him. That's a guy that I want to see. I'd like the Steelers to also re-sign or extend Terrell Edmonds and have that pair there. I think, they know each other. And so
I think a little bit more than just know each other.
Right, exactly. And so they've played together as well in Virginia. And so, I think he would fit in. I think he'd fit in with the defense. I think that would be a big pickup. And I think, I don't think he's going to demand, I'm not even sure what the,
I think his market value is a little over 11 right now.
Yeah. That's kind of like where Miles Jack is. And so, or for this season,
right.
I would do it. I would do that. Outside of him, we'll go through this. You have Deion Jones from Cleveland Browns. He's going to be a free agent.
No, thanks.
Levante David from Tampa Bay. Let's see. Anthony Walker, also from the Cleveland Browns. Tyler Medikevich from the Bills. Let's see. Van Noy from the Chargers. He's kind of up there in age.
Yeah, he is.
John Bostic. I don't think we're on that.
Nightmare.
Yeah. So I think it's all in on Tremaine Edmonds or not. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not seeing a lot of free agent names, in my opinion, that are coming in pretty big there.
Yeah. Tremaine Edmonds kind of been the talk of the town. I've seen people, he didn't play a good playoff game this past weekend, so I've seen people already say, oh, no, we don't want him, blah, blah, blah. All right, he had one bad playoff game. Like, the guy's had a pretty dang good first 4 years of his career. He can cover, he picks off passes, he defends passes, he's a 100-plus tackler. I mean, I don't understand. Like, okay, he had one bad game, so you're just going to say, yeah, you don't want him anymore? I think Tremaine Edmonds would be great. Absolutely. Absolutely, he'd be great. And I don't think that he's going to be a guy that you're going to be paying like a Roquan Smith type contract or anything. I mean, that was off the wall. So, be a great fit. You restructure Miles Jack, save some money there, bring Tremaine Edmonds in. Yeah, absolutely. I think really most Steelers fans would be on board for it. Losing Shazier really set him back for years. Yeah, it definitely did. And it just seems like they just haven't really been able to get that position solidified. Yeah, so I don't know. Inside linebacker, it's a hole there. There'll be something that they'll have to establish. Do you think it's possible that they selected the wrong Edmonds in the 2018 draft?
I've said this before. I told my dad that. I was like, man, do you think that they saw T. Edmonds from Virginia and said, he's still here, let's get him? And it was the wrong Terrell. It was the wrong Edmonds brother.
Yep.
No, I think
there's no way, right?
Nah, I think the Steelers were eyeing a safety that entire way, and it was I I don't want to say Artie Burns as in a reach, but I think they could have gotten him later. And, I think his first few years, people were expecting Troy. And he's not a Troy. You know what I'm saying? He's more of a Ryan Clark type. He's going to be out there. He's big. He's physical. He's fast. He's freakily fast. And so, you look at what happened this season when he went out with a concussion. Trey Norwood was a liability in pass coverage down the field. He just couldn't fit the bill. I think Trey Norwood might find himself on practice squad this year, in my opinion.
Possible.
But, going into defensive backs, the next big cut is, and most likely going to be William Jackson III. It's going to save $12 million to the cap.
That's big. That's big right there.
Obvious cut, but there's a lot of holes and question marks with the defensive backs. You also have Akila Weatherspoon, who's possibly facing of getting cut as well. He didn't really do too much last season. He was hurt for most of the season, but when he was in there, he was getting burned quite a bit. You have Cam Sutton, who is going to be a free agent, and also Terrell Edmonds is a free agent. DeMonte Casey is a free agent. There's a lot of guys that I think the Steelers are going to want to bring back and re-sign. My three that I would keep would be Cam Sutton, Casey, and Edmonds. What do you think there?
Yeah, I think Cam Sutton, out of all their free agents, he's number one priority. Cam Sutton, I'm not really quite sure the money he's going to want, what his market value is right now, but he's number one priority, man. He's gotten better each year. He's a big part of their secondary. And he's the guy that they got to resign, I think, out of everybody. Terrell Edmonds, he's another guy you got to bring back. Absolutely, I agree with KZ. Witherspoon, William Jackson, good riddance. Good riddance. So I'm with you on all that, Daniel. I really am. I know that, speaking of DB, cornerback has been a big thing the Steelers have kind of been mocked to in terms of taking one of those guys. There's a handful of them, man. The Steelers got pick 17 and pick 32.
Right.
So if they don't take one at 17, they could always go with 32. Joey Porter, Cam Smith, Devin Witherspoon from Oregon, or Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, Devin Witherspoon. You got, who's the other guy? Kale Ringo from Georgia. There's 5 cornerbacks. There's 5 first-round caliber type corners in the first round. Are all 4 going to go in the first round? Or all 5, I mean? Who knows? But they can have their pick there if they want to do that. And we know the Steelers have been a team that hasn't done really a good job over the years at getting cornerbacks through the draft, other than Cam in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a possibility that they take one with one of those first 2 picks. And I think that might be a smart move. But yeah, definitely out of the DBs, those are the 3 got to bring back, man. KZ, he's a guy, he's got a knack for the ball. Edmonds is a solidified guy back there. Cam Sutton, he's your best corner, man. And he's gotten better over the last 2-3 years, like each year. And it's just that, you got to bring him back. Let's see. Hold on real quick, Daniel.
So, real quick, though, if you do that, if the Steelers were to draft a corner in the first round, is he starter day one?
I think that he might not necessarily be that on the depth chart, but I think that he would get a handful of snaps and then kind of progress there from week 1. Because I still like Levi Wallace. I do.
Yeah, I was going to say about Levi Wallace.
He's been injured. He has some injury problems, but still, he's got a little bit of an knack for the ball. He's always kind of been an above-average number 2 type guy. And I think that he's a guy on a 1-year deal. He's on a cheap 1-year contract. See what he does as well going to this year. You have Cam if you want to draft a corner early. And there's a few guys in free agency too if they want to bring it. I know people have been clamoring for Jamel Dean from Tampa Bay. You got Byron Murphy, who's a slot guy from Arizona. So there's even a few guys. Like I just don't really know where the Steelers will want to ultimately put their money at.
Right. Yeah, because I'm thinking, if they go and get a CB1 at 17, that guy you're expecting to be game 1 opening day starter.
Yeah, taking a spot right away. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's another question too. So if you take one at corner at 17 or even 32, I mean that's still a first round pick at the end of the day.
Right.
So if you take one at 1 or your second pick, Jennifer, hello, appreciate you tuning in. If you take one, and I'll answer whose question was that? Brian, I'll answer your question here in a minute, brother. Uh,
I know that
you
question,
take one.
but I want to add to that question.
Okay.
So I know which one it is.
Yeah. So what pick is their third? Is their third round pick? So they got 2 seconds. Their third round pick, I don't know what their third round pick is. I think it would probably be the 17th pick in the third round, I would imagine, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 17th or 18th.
So it'd be the 17th pick in the third round. So if they take a corner with the 17th or 32nd pick, so then what do you think? What would you rather do there? If you draft a guy, he's going to be an outside guy, right? You can move Cam Sutton back to the slot.
Mm-hmm.
I
think that's the only move you have, because I don't think Levi Wallace could play in the slot.
No, he's not a slot guy.
And I mean, you the only thing about this is you rotate him and Arthur Mollett, because Arthur Mollett gives you that, somewhat of Mike Hilton blitz capability and tackling. It's not to the same level. It's Mike Hilton from Wish, but
yeah,
it's somewhat there.
Well, he's a free agent too, I'm pretty sure, isn't he? Arthur Mollett, I'm pretty sure he is.
He might be. Let me see real quick. Cam Sutton. No, he's not a free agent. I think
he's under contract.
No, I think so. I think he's under contract.
Okay.
And so, but he may be a guy that ends up. I know the Steelers end up getting one of these corners that's really good at the slot position to replace a Mike Hilton. Maybe that's the route that they go.
Well, it's really not a bad group. If you re-sign Cam Sutton, you have Levi Wallace still on a 1-year deal. Marlette's still there. You draft a corner with your 17th or 32nd pick to add to that. It's not a bad four. It's really not.
Right.
You just got to hope that the corner can kind of, get things going a little bit there. James Pierre, I think he's okay as a depth guy. Maybe they'll sign a corner free agent as well to kind of add to the group. Not a corner free agent where Sutton is a free agent. We're talking about Mollett. Not saying you sign a corner where you put all this money toward, but maybe just a cheap 1-year deal that adds to the group. All right, Brian's question is: should the Steelers consider bringing Bud Dupree back?
Well, I have a second to that. So there's 2 Titans that are rumored of being cut due to cap casualties. It is Bud Dupree and Taylor Lewan, offensive tackle. Had a couple of Pro Bowls there back in 2017, 18, somewhere around there. He was rumored as to he's come out and talked about it, that he anticipates being a cut casualty this season. And on Twitter, he retweeted a picture of himself in a Steelers outfit in uniform, and stating something to the effect, "Those colors go so hard." Are you picking up 1 or 2 of these guys?
Okay, so Lewan, who is the other guy?
Bud Dupree.
Oh, Bud Dupree, right. Bud Dupree. I don't know why I blanked out.
2 Titans.
I don't think so, man.
Rumored.
I don't think so, dude. Bud Dupree, it's just not there for me, man. He was really mediocre at best his first 3 years here, and then he was in a contract year. We know he popped off. Got a big big contract with the Titans. Just hasn't done anything, man. He just hasn't, and I don't think that. I don't know. How much would it really fit if you bring him back on a 1-year, let's say a $3 million deal, $4 million contract, for example? How much of a fit would it be? Highsmith being the guy, rightfully so. I mean, they should maybe even enter extension talks this offseason. Maybe. Right. So him, Watt, how much really, to you, how much of a fit, before we talk about Lewan, and yeah, Jennifer says he has a scary injury list, missed games. Yeah, so we'll tack on that, like what you said too. Good comment there. How much do you think it really fits having Bud Dupree as the third outside linebacker?
Well, pretty good, because TJ Watt plays like 70% of the snaps, maybe 72, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's, his motor is high. It's running all the time, and so he takes himself out quite a bit. Highsmith takes himself out. So having that rotation in there for a guy to take on about 35 to 40 snaps, in my opinion, I'd rather have Bud Dupree than Jameer Jones or whoever. Now, the Steelers did sign Quincy Roche today, but he hasn't done anything as a Giant, in my opinion. I think he's been on practice squad and whatnot for the most part. And so I would take him back to see where I'd see where he's at on the knee, because he did have a strong, what was it, 4th year. And the Steelers they tagged him, right? And then he had a strong 5th year until the knee went out. Now, we've seen how that knee can affect players in different ways. Zach Banner had a knee issue, the ACL tear, and he never came back.
He was so ass, though, dude. I'm sorry. He was freaking ass. I don't care what anybody says. He really was. I'm sure he's a good dude, but dude, before the Steelers, he accomplished absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean,
I never understood his hype. Never did.
No, I didn't. I think it was just his size. He was just a very large man. Yeah. And so, Zach Banner had the knee. Devin Bush had an ACL. And so when it comes to these guys, Bud Dupree and Taylor Lewan, they've both had ACL issues, and they've not been back to form since. So that's a big concern for me.
Right. It's honestly both. That's the thing about it, is that it's both. Now, Lewan, what is he, 31, 32, right?
Right, somewhere around there.
Okay, so I don't really see either one getting a big contract in free agency, probably a 1-year deal from somewhere. Dupree, it's not that I'm against him coming back. I just wasn't I'm not really quite sure, like, really what he ultimately wants, what he still thinks of himself and what he can do. And if they would bring him back on a cheap 1-year deal and kind of be that third guy, okay, I'm not going to complain about that. That's fine. And it was a lot of fun watching him his last 2 years here before he got hurt. He was really playing well. So it really just depends what you want to do. Taylor Lewan, I would not. And the reason why, I would love to see them just go get a young left tackle, because they have gone multiple years without establishing offensive line early in the draft. Right. And you can get one at 17 or 32. You can get somebody there, and we'll see what they do. But I think you got to establish it. You got to establish it early. You do. No more 4th round picks, 5th round pick, offensive lineman. No, you got to establish it early. And that's why I would rather, to answer your question, I'd rather take Bud Dupree, because at least you already have your 2 guys established there at edge. Bud Dupree, he can be your 3rd guy there. He can come in, play however percent of snaps that he's going to play, and maybe he'll get you like 5 or 6 sacks if he's healthy on the season.
Yeah,
something like that.
And the other thing is, while he was a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Bud Dupree was the Robin to the Batman and Robin duo.
Yeah.
Out there in Tennessee, he was expected to be the Batman.
Yeah.
And so, the pressure as far as being the number 1 guy, the number 1 pass rusher, getting the, not having that amount of attention to you probably does help him out a lot. Probably does help out Alex Highsmith, the fact that he's playing opposite side of TJ Watt. Yeah. And so,
and you're seeing that production there.
Yeah,
it just shows how important TJ is, man. It really does. It really does.
Exactly. And so, in my opinion, I too would take Bud Dupree over Lewan. That offensive line definitely does need some attention. I think if tackles go,
and even though they played better, there's a couple spots there that you can improve on.
Right. I think if tackles go early, which there's going to be a good pick there at number 17, because of the fact that this is a high quarterback draft class.
Yeah.
And so players are going to be, attacking that. Edge is usually drafted high as well. Cornerback, there's 5 of them. So there's going to be somebody that is falling out of the top. Yep. And I think the Steelers are going to have a good opportunity to get one of those guys there at number 17.
I agree. I'm completely fine with that. I don't understand why anybody else wouldn't want that. Answer a couple questions here, Daniel. We'll continue on here, man. Jared Devil asks, what pick do they use on Siaki Ika, if I pronounce his name? He's the defensive lineman from Pitt. Oh, God. He's probably going to go somewhere in the second round. Let's see. Yeah, so Claude switch the first, give up a second to get Jalen Carter from Georgia. I don't know if that's going to be enough, man. I don't know if that's going to be enough or not. Defensive line's obviously a big thing, and I will mention that real quick once we're done here answering some questions here. Brian asked, do you think the Steelers will bring Gentry back or move on now that they have Connor Hayward?
I think they're going to move on now that they have Connor Hayward, and they're going to bring somebody else alongside Connor, a bigger body guy that is going to block. Pat Freiermuth has missed a couple of games here and there, and you're going to have that third tight end on the on the team, and Gentry. He's made a name-ish for himself that he's an average blocker, maybe above average for a tight end. And his size is probably going to get him a decent enough contract that the Pittsburgh Steelers can replace that production with somebody that's maybe drafted in the 6th, 7th round or something.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I agree too, because if you have Connor Hayward, man, you look at the plays he was making down the stretch of the season. And he's good on special teams. And, dude, his hands are just really, really good. They really are. Mm-hmm. Gentry, why do you need to pay him another 1-year deal and use money toward him if you have that? So I agree. I think Gentry moves on. And it's not a knock on him. It's not a knock at all. Let's see here.
Jennifer says, I don't think the Steelers cut O'Shea. They put him on the practice squad and Giants grabbed him.
Yeah, actually, that's what happened, I'm pretty sure.
Well, the Steelers try to hide him and cut him on the last day possible. And then they put the practice squad tag on him, but the Giants signed him to their 53.
That what it was, okay.
Yeah, so the Steelers were trying to, but in order to get him on the practice squad, they had to cut him.
Well, yeah, I remember that there are some people disappointed that the Steelers put him on the squad. Easy way to lose a guy like that. We'll see. He'll get an opportunity. This guy, I
got a question for you real quick, and it's about the defensive line. You got to pick one: Larry Ogunjobi or Hargrave. Who would you rather have on the team?
Hargrave in a heartbeat, bro. In a freaking heartbeat, man. In a heartbeat, dude. I wish they re-signed him. I really did, but you can't pay everybody.
No, you can't. You can, but it seems like there's a possibility that he might make the free agent market this season. He's another guy that the Steelers
he's going to get a good contract.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine? You have Bud Dupree back. You have Tremaine Edmonds in the middle, and then you have Hargrave. Also,
I say we just bring back Sean Davis at that point.
Right.
Dude, honestly, man, that would be such a sick defense, dude. Edmonds, Fitzpatrick, Cam Sutton, one of the first-round corners, Levi Wallace, Tremaine, Miles Jack, Highsmith, Watt, Cam, Hargrave, and whoever else, Leal or whoever else you want to put in there. That'd be sick, dude. That'd be sick.
That would be a top-tier defense, in my opinion.
No, it really would. I'm trying to find one comment here. I'll ask what you think. Where'd it go? It was pretty much asked, geez, where is it? It was here somewhere. Okay, Darkstorm says, with Mink and TJ, I'm not sure we can afford Highsmith. What do you think about that?
It's possible, but I think the worst that's going to happen this season is that Highsmith won't participate in off-season training and training camp and preseason. But I don't think he goes the year without playing.
Yeah.
And so I think that he's going to end up playing out his rookie contract, and then possibly going somewhere else. Because
they're just going to let the market.
Yeah, because next season, at the end of next season, you're probably going to have George Pickens. He's going to be going into his third, right? He can't get it until the end of his third.
Yeah,
because he's only on a 4-year deal. You're gonna have some people that are gonna be, getting some money here pretty soon, and so
and that's the hard thing is that you can't pay everybody, and that's the predicament the Bengals are gonna be in. They're gonna have to pay Joe Burrow. T. Higgins is a free agent. You look at, they have a lot of money tied into the offensive line. Jamar Chase is going to be a free agent eventually. Joe Mixon signed a contract last year or whatever year it was. Jesse Bates is a free agent this year. So they got Trey Hendrickson. They signed a pretty good contract too. So it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. It's hard. The CUDA 70 forgive me if I mispronounce your name. I hope Omar does not players like what happened with Tuitt and Banner. They never played and got a big paycheck.
Oh yeah.
Well, the Tuitt thing, the Tuitt thing is that he just couldn't play anymore, man. After everything that happened, and he had, I think, too, after he signed his contract. Didn't he have an injury thing for a little while too?
Yeah, he hurt his knee. He hurt his knee while trying to come back, and then he just hung it up.
Yeah.
And so and with Banner, he had multiple offers that season, and so the Steelers had to pay a little bit extra just to keep him. And they kind of the same thing with William Jackson. They got him, paid him $3 million, and we didn't see a snap out of him. So
no, and that's why they're not going to lose a draft pick over him because he didn't play. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
That pretty much goes void. Brian's about safety. Steelers have all they need in that position. Well, Edmonds free agent. I would imagine that they would bring him back. He wants to come back. Is it Miles Killebrew free agent?
I believe so. Miles Killebrew is a free agent.
So he's a free agent. I'm fine bringing him back. He does a good job special teams.
Kazi's a free agent.
You have Kazi is a free agent too. So I'm not going to sit there and say they have all they need because they have a couple free agents there. But I think you bring Edmonds back, and then if you're able to bring Kazi back, I think that you can be pretty satisfied with those three there. So talk about defense. Talk about the DBs. Talked about some of the other positions, guys, free agents. Wide receiver. There's no free agents there. But is there somebody that – and now the free agent wide receiver market is not very good. Al Lazar and Juju are the two best wide receivers on the free agent market right now. So it's not a knock on them. It's just not there. So I know Jordan Addison's been getting the receiver that went to Pitt, transferred to USC. I know that Kenny Pickett's talked about he would love to see him with the Steelers. He would love to see them draft him at 17. And I know that there's fans that would rather see them go a different direction. There's fans out there that would love to see it. How do you feel on that? How do you feel a wide receiver at the 17th pick? And Jordan Addison's not the only receiver either. There's Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's another guy as well that could go in the first round. I forget his name. So there's a few. It's not a heavy receiver draft early on, but Jordan Addison and kind of the talk he's getting. How do you feel about it?
I'm not sure about it, man. I watched his play on the field. He looks a little. What's the word I'm looking for? He needs to bulk up a little bit. He looks a little bit thin, and that kind of concerns me. I think he's an excellent player, but in my opinion, you bring in an Addison, you get somebody that high in the first round. That's sending a message to Deontay, and he's probably going to be not very happy, which honestly, a lot of folks were thinking that he should have been traded last year instead of Claypool. He's gotten some inconsistent moments. He is one of the best, if not the best, separator when it comes to coverage and the defensive back. And he's just got some questionable moments, and he's done some weird things by running backwards and whatnot. But that's sending a message to that guy, and he's the most veteran receiver that you have on the team.
Yep.
If you end up trading Deontay, getting another, I don't know, maybe second or third round pick for him. I mean, look at what they got for Claypool. So sky's the limit for Deontay. At that point, you're definitely having to get a receiver. You're going to have to get an X receiver to replace him. If you do that, then I would be all for it. But I'm not for a rookie receiver on this group of receivers.
I agree.
This room. I don't think I like that.
No, I agree, man. Brian says, don't the Steelers have enough receivers? They signed Anthony Miller too. Yes, they did bring him back on a 1-year deal. That's the thing too. Jordan Addison is not a groundbreaking wide receiver. He's not. He's a guy that can go somewhere in the middle of first. He could go in the early second round. He's not. He has inconsistent hands. He doesn't have the capability really in terms of contested catches. I'm not a fan of it. And I think that they need to bring in a veteran guy. And I've said this, and I stand by it. They need to bring a veteran wide receiver in to add to that young group, right? So you got George Pickens. We all know that he can be a special player. Deontay, We know that Brian. We'll talk about. We actually talked about that early on the show, but we'll get back to your comment there in a minute, man. You have Deontay there. Okay, so there's your two. Calvin Austin, he hasn't even played yet. We don't really quite know how they're going to implement him. We don't really quite know the kind of player he will be for us. So you trade Claypool, right? If you bring in a veteran wide receiver, someone that doesn't need the ball all the time. We know Deontay and George Pickens were frustrated all throughout the year in terms of not getting the ball, being open, right? All that stuff like that. Why not bring in a veteran wide receiver out there for cheap, a guy, and not a scrub. I'm not saying you just bring in a scrub, but a guy that you're not going to have, that's not going to command a lot of money, but a guy that will do the dirty work, a guy that will bring some leadership, a guy that will block, a guy that doesn't need the ball every play. Why not bring in a guy in like that to pair with Deontay and George Pickens? And then you have Calvin Austin, right? Why not that? I like that idea much better than taking a wide receiver at 17 when you have Pickens and Deontay, right? And you ignore the offensive line need, you ignore the corner need, the defensive line need, like why? It's different if, and then people want to compare Burrow and Jamar Chase and the Bengals taking, it's not even close, dude. Jamar Chase was light years better than Jordan Addison. So Jordan Addison, to me, I'm not saying that he's not a good receiver or anything, but he doesn't have traits of being a top 5, top 10 type wide receiver that's going in the draft and that can ultimately be a game changer. It's just not going to happen. Why can't George Pickens be that guy? Right?
Yeah.
Why can't he used to be a first round pick if he never got hurt?
That's true. George he's more of a deep threat guy. I'm not sure if he's going to ever have the route ability of a Deontay Johnson, because that's what you'd have to replace is his route ability and exactly. His ability to get open. And when you look at the free agent market on receivers, you're right. There's not somebody that you would take over him. When you look at the room itself and how inexperienced and young they are, I don't think it would be the smartest idea of adding another inexperienced young receiver. Your quarterback is still young and inexperienced. And so, throwing in that, it's just going to, I think you end up taking this another step back in as far as your development, trying to
100%.
The rookie receiver caught up by doing that. So, yeah, I think that the receiving group is.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, no. Referring to Brian's comment, he said, who are some free agent wide receivers that would be good to bring in? So here's a couple. Why not a guy like a Jamison Crowder or a Jarvis Landry? They can play in the slot. They've played for quite a long time. They don't need the ball every possession. Those are two guys.
I think the problem with that though is they want Calvin Austin to be the slot guy, the jet sweep guy. I think that's the role that was meant for him.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying that Calvin Austin won't ever turn in that, but we don't know the type player he is. We don't know how serious his injury is that he has, right? So, and that's what I mean. Like these wide receivers aren't going to command big money that you're going to have to spend on. Give him a cheap contract. If Calvin Austin starts to turn heads at camp and he's healthy and stuff like that, then great. Then there's your 4 wide receivers. There's your 4.
Yeah.
Right. And even Anthony Miller, I know they signed him. He'll probably get one more opportunity. Or I know Miles Boykin was a guy that they brought in and maybe didn't really get much there. But I would rather, in terms of when it comes to the talk of drafting a receiver early, no, it's not. They have a good receiving core. They really do. Bring somebody in that can bring some leadership to that group, man. You really want your leader being Deontay, who we all know that sometimes stuff he says or loses his cool on the sideline. Like, I'd rather bring somebody in that doesn't need the ball all the time. You can feed, then it doesn't become too many mouths to feed, man. Then you're going to have a whole nother problem with that. We already saw how Deontay and Pickens were when they weren't getting the ball earlier.
So would you say it's safe to say that the Pittsburgh Steelers will not be drafting offense with their first 4 picks in this draft outside of offensive line?
Okay, outside of offensive line, I think it's possible. Now, if they want to draft a receiver in the middle of the draft, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. But I think just in terms of your first-round pick, I think that there's a lot more value there than taking a wide receiver at 17. I think there's a lot more value. I think there's more things that you can strengthen and make the team better than taking a wide receiver at 17, especially a guy, not saying that Jordan Addison won't ever be a good receiver, or Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. Not saying that they won't ever be good. But if you're going to take a receiver at 17 over other spots, and especially when you have a guy with Pickens and Deontay, to me, it's a little bit of a letdown to me. And
Right.
I think it becomes too many mouths to feed. You're gonna, Deontay will probably request a trade, and I think leadership goes a long way with a young group, man. And I think that there's somebody in free agency that you can bring in to help that, and to be a guy that doesn't need the attention, that doesn't need all the snaps, all the targets, or anything.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not too far away from what your opinion is. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers should hold tight with the core group that they have. Maybe bring in somebody for depth, somebody for in case of an injury, things of that nature, maybe even a veteran. I think that they like what they have in George Pickens, Calvin Austin, and Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. And that's a good group, man. It's a good group.
That is. And then, even bringing back like Miles Boykin, he also he did amazing things on special teams. And you're going to need somebody for that special teams as well.
That's okay.
And so, I'm good with those moves. And I think that's the right way to go. In my opinion, I think the Steelers are going to draft in the first 4 picks, which is in the first, 3 rounds, because they got two twos.
Right. Yep.
I think they'll pick one off. I think they just go with an offensive lineman in those first few picks. I don't see them. I think the rest is going to be possibly. Well, I think they'd go up front, defensive line. I think they go offensive line. Man, if they address the middle linebacker position in free agency, I don't see them drafting that position high.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe edge. You think they go edge in top 3?
I don't think so. I think maybe I know the stuff with the Highsmith thing. Maybe it depends too who's there. They could go edge within the first 3-4 picks. Maybe it depends who's there. I think left tackle, corner, defensive line are probably the 3 big things. I think whenever you just really look at team needs. But we know that this team before, when the draft has come, that they've taken positions that you didn't really expect. And Claude, inside linebacker is a serious need. It's just there's not really much value there in the first round, even somewhere in the second round with inside linebacker this year in the draft. So that's why I think everybody's really clamoring for Tremaine Edmonds, or even there's another guy too. I can't remember. What's his name? I can't remember his name. I know there's another guy people were clamoring for. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers just freaking even take best player available. I wouldn't even be surprised at that point either. I really wouldn't. There's a few guys, defensive linemen in the first round, they could go after. They could probably go after someone with the second, with one of their other second-round picks, or even third-round pick, defensive line. I know they like Leal too. Ogunjobi, we know he could possibly come back. They could always sign a defensive lineman free agency too. So really after free agency, that's when you get such a clear picture with what direction they could go. I would be thoroughly disappointed if they picked a receiver at 17. I really would.
No, I agree with you on that. I definitely do. Well, we're getting a little bit long on the tooth there, Nate. Over an hour already.
Goes by fast, man.
Yeah, it does. It does. We think there's not much to talk about, and then
and it ends up becoming that.
Exactly. You have any final thoughts, and let everybody know where they can find you?
Yep. Well, guys, what I'll say is that probably until after the football season's over, we're probably just going to do 1 show a week here until after the football season, just because there's not enough to talk about, and then it just becomes repetitive in terms of the shows and stuff. So after the Super Bowl's over and you really kind of start getting into NFL offseason, then on both our channels and then even on here, there's going to be a lot to talk about. So at least until after the Super Bowl, just a heads up, we're probably just going to do 1 show a week, alternating between my show and my channel, as you see right there next to my name, and then right here on Daniel's channel. And then really once the offseason gets going, then we'll be back to the 2 days a week that we normally do. So that's why now, unless something crazy happens where on Saturday or season's still going on and we do a show on the Tuesday or Saturday, then that's different. You guys we'll let you guys know on our channel, stuff like that. But until at least just the season's over, we're just going to do the 1 day a week. Once the off season gets going, we'll be back on normal schedule Saturday and Tuesday and everything like that. So we appreciate all you guys who have tuned in, put your thoughts out there, put your comments, your questions. It's always fun to interact with you guys. Guys who are new, welcome. Appreciate you guys. Guys who are always here, thank you as well. You guys can follow me right there where it says In Hindsight. I like to talk about Steelers, some other Pittsburgh sports, other things in football or basketball, other sports like that. That's not just Pittsburgh related. I like to talk about that. If you guys are into wrestling, I'm going to be talking about the Royal Rumble Saturday night. So I will be talking about that if you guys are into that. Very excited for the show. So just a heads up. So I like to kind of do some different things on my channel than just talk about Pittsburgh teams and stuff. So if you guys are into that, feel free. You guys here on Daniel's show. And also give a follow to Daniel's Drunk Turkey show, man. They're doing a lot of good things over there. They've grown a lot. They've been talking about a lot of things going on with conspiracy theories or murder mystery stuff. Now, real quick, before we go, Daniel, have you thought about talking about the conspiracy theory around DeMar Hamlin?
Oh,
is it really him?
I heard
Was
about
it really
Is
him
it a
at the
clone?
game?
I've heard about this conspiracy. Couldn't see him.
No.
And the
He had every inch covered, top to bottom.
That's an interesting one. I think he was there.
I think it was him too. I mean, Josh Allen actually came out today, and him and Kyle Brandt were actually talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I don't know where this stuff comes from. He was in the locker room. So I don't know.
It comes from the Drunk Turkey show. Go catch it.
That's where it stems. That's where it stems.
From.
Yeah, guys, give them a follow. They do a lot of good, interesting stuff in there if you guys are into any of that type of content going on. But yeah, it was a good show. I was excited to do this one. Just kind of talk about some free agent stuff, man. The off season is always fun to talk about.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you for coming on. We'll see you guys next week on In Hindsight. Please hit that
next
like
Tuesday,
and subscribe on your way out. Recommend the channel to your friends that are Steeler fans. We definitely appreciate it. That being said, guys, peace out.